So, good morning, everyone. So, on behalf of Pathfinders, I welcome you all to the fifth episode of this Bounce Back series. So, thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning, and we really appreciate your presence here. Now, telling about bouncing back, it's a 10-part talk series where we, the Pathfinders, are discussing the challenges that we as a society have faced during the pandemic and how we have overcome them or are in the process of overcoming them. I assure you that the outcome of these discussions will be relevant irrespective of the COVID situation. Let me introduce you to the Pathfinders in case you are joining for the first time. So we are 5 coaches from different locations, different walks of life, and different specializations who have come together because of the common belief that with great power comes great responsibility. We believe that it is our imperative responsibility to contribute and make a difference. Your host for the day, I'm Arif Hussain, a certified mindset and performance coach, an author, mentor, and a fitness enthusiast, a devoted family man who had been associated with the healthcare industry for about 2 decades. I guide working professionals between the age of 25 to 45 years to achieve their health and professional goals through mindset transformation. Coach Mohammad Saeed is an MBA with over 3 decades of international work experience, a seasoned professional, an author, and a certified Mindshift empowering coach. Saeed is passionate about reaching out and actively engaged in guiding people to overcome their life challenges through Mindshift and transformation. Next with us is Coach Uzma Golandaz, who is a certified ambition and unambiguity coach. She is extremely passionate about helping people with the issues that stand between them and their success. Being an English language trainer and a personality mentor, she also focuses on confidence and communication related matters. A postgraduate from London, she currently lives and works from the UAE. Next is the unblock coach Hemant Jain. He has been a change management consultant and a trainer with over 18 years of corporate experience. He has worked with large organizations undergoing transformation, focusing on the people side of change. Many working professionals find themselves stuck with glass ceilings and glass walls. Through his coaching, Hemant helps them go higher and further in life and career. Now, let me introduce the keynote speaker for the day, Coach Jyotika Shetty. She is a strategic life coach, international author, certified trainer, and an image consultant, helping people achieve their next level performance. She holds an MBA from Manchester Business School and have experience of over 20 years in corporate banking and entrepreneurship. Today's topic is pandemic parenting, where we look at the perspective of parents, but most of all, the perspective of kids and the dynamic that the two perspectives create. Because they have to coexist for effective upbringing of our future society, we cannot afford to compromise when it comes to our children and their future prospects. Now, people in audience, please put any comments or questions you have in the chat window till the time we open the room for discussion. Now, I invite Coach Jyotika to take over and share her views on the subject, pandemic parenting. Over to you, Jyotika.
Thank you very much, Arif. A very good morning to all the audience, everyone in the audience present here today. Being in the public speaking domain for quite a number of years, writing a speech is something that I do on a regular basis. So one day, I wrote a speech and I titled it, 3 Mistakes of My Life. I went up to my daughter and I asked her, Tia, what comes to your mind when you hear the title? My then 12-year-old daughter dropped everything she was doing, looked at me, smiled and said, your 3 kids. That day, it seemed to be like a cardinal mistake that I had done. However, I was awestruck with her witty response. And this is certainly attributed to the umpteen leadership and speaking opportunities that she has gotten. Being a public speaker herself, she was never afraid of the stage or even making friends for that matter. However, over the last 15 months, things have slightly changed. With one kid who just finished graduation and two kids who are just getting it or climbing the stairs of senior secondary, it worries me watching them confined to the four walls and the 13-inch screen. So, my dear parents, my question to you today is, how many of you have been worried as parents more than before? I have, and I would like to certainly confess that, and I'm sure that I'm not alone. With the initial excitement of Dalgona coffee, baking a cake, and dancing on TikTok wore off, reality surely dawned. Few parents can also confess without feeling guilty that it was a good feeling when you don't have to wake up in the morning to iron the clothes, prepare breakfast, or even drop your children off to school. But anything in excess is not good for health, isn't it? Recently, my daughter came up to me and said, Mommy, I feel that my confidence level is kind of dropping when I actually interact with teachers on online. I really wonder how it's going to be when the actual school begins. This, coming from my daughter, was a bit of a surprise to me as well as a matter of worry. However, I was not very sure what I should be doing at that time. Many children are struggling and parents are unsure how to help, just like me. I recently read a case study that a 16-year-old boy in the US was losing interest in going to college after graduating high school. Before the pandemic, he was passionate about maths and science and participated in his school's robotics and Model United Nation clubs. But his mood started changing after US began closing schools in the spring. As he logged onto his computer from Zoom, week after week, he started sleeping more during the day and became more isolated and away from his friends and family. My son, who's right now in 11th grade, has completed his 10th and 11th without an examination. So when recently his 11th grade, right now he's in 12th, and 11th grade exams were cancelled, I sarcastically mentioned to him, pray to God that you hit jackpot next year, that even your 12th grade exams get cancelled. I certainly wish that doesn't happen, but this only shows my frustration with regards to all what happened with my son and his exams. A kind reminder to all those who love being in control of your life, it only shows how fragile human beings are. My friend's daughter is 10 years old, well-disciplined child, does her schoolwork on time, and she's even willing to burn the midnight oil to get her schoolwork done. However, with the pandemic taking her toll on her, recently she even forgot the date of her exam. My friend was confused and he did not know why exactly this happened. But one of the reasons why parents may see this kind of a change in a child is because kids are not used to learning in isolation. In classrooms today, teachers have students learning in groups, discussing lessons and asking peers for help. The moment of working alongside a friend or asking teacher for guidance allows student to feel connected to others. And this sense of belonging influences students' engagement in class. And perhaps my friend's child was missing on all of this, and therefore her motivation was low. Parenting has never been easy, but homeschooling, working from home, and all the financial uncertainty surrounding COVID-19 has made it even more tougher. With terminologies like Gen X, baby boomers, millennials that we have heard quite often in the past, I wouldn't be wrong in introducing a new term called pandemic parenting. So, what is pandemic parenting? With many schools and workplaces closed due to the current pandemic, many of us have found ourselves dealing with a new and often very stressful family situation. Having to work from home and run the household. You're also juggling with your kids' virtual school. Also trying to keep your kids on track with your virtual school all while enduring the restrictions of social distancing and even being cut off from the support of friends and loved ones. The whole family often occupying the same space day after day, the strain can seem unrelenting. If you or your spouse have been furloughed or lost your source of income, the financial pressure can add to it. Left unchecked, this can surely a recipe for burnout. So what's the point that I'm trying to make today? My niece, who is 4 years old and currently in Montessori, has barely experienced school life. While these are her foundational years of her growth, I'm really worried that that poor child will be missing on so many building blocks of her life. While my other nieces and nephews in different age groups are no different, for some this has been fun, whereas for the others, their performance has taken a dip. Children have spent more than a year not meeting their friends, playing outside, or even meeting their new teacher, leave alone knowing her name. Now imagine, what kind of kinesthetic, auditory, or ocular capabilities can we expect the child to develop, leave alone acing it? So the point that I'm trying to make today is, life for both parents and kids is tough, and parenting needs a shift in approach. Shift that focuses more than just academic excellence. The World Health Organization reported that several countries affected by COVID-19 have seen an increase in domestic violence, especially violence against children. Across the world, children are affected by physical distancing, quarantines, and nationwide school closures. Some children and young people may feel more isolated, anxious, bored, and even nervous. If you think your temperature or your temperament fluctuates during your Zoom call just because your child has bothered you, this is your time to optimize your Zen moment. As a parent at this time, it's easy to feel that you have so many roles to fulfill, and then you can possibly perform all of them. It's pretty impossible, right? As a parent to do everything together well. But it's important to remind yourself that this is a unique situation, a global health emergency that none of us had to face in the past. While both parents and children are sailing in the same boat of uncertainty, it is imperative that you are easy on yourself and maintain a sense of balance. Like everything else, parenting requires a shift in perspective, as children deserve a renewed approach from their parents. For all those kids required to outperform their peers, finish college at the right time, remember, this pandemic had only taught us that nothing is beyond your health and happiness. The incessant pressure to become doctors, chartered accountants, engineers must find its way out of the door. The need of the hour is to focus on the child's overall health and safety. However, it is important to also note one important aspect, that the mental well-being of the parent is very important, as it is directly linked to the health and the growth of the child. Self-regulation of fear and anxiety is also vital for parents. Children observe their parents and adapt fast. Don't forget that. It becomes even more important for parents to use optimistic words while conversing with their children. UNICEF suggests that need for reassurances from parents that illness because of COVID-19 is treatable. It is important for parents to be calm. Listen to your children. Take some time out. Follow a routine. These small measures can be helpful to keep a child happy, and I would say a parent happy too. The positive relationship between parents and children in the initial years of their life is a driver of their well-being throughout their life. This can only be attained if we as parents take care of their emotional well-being and engage more with their children. So my question to you again is, have you felt the need to change your approach towards parenting during the present circumstance? The only advice that I can give you is hang on there. We are doing our best. Not everyone parents the same way. Not every parent is the same. Not every child is like another child. We are all doing what is required to get us through this period successfully. Over to you, Arif.
Thank you so much, Jyotika. What a wonderful expression of the subject that was. Let's have a round of applause for Coach Jyotika Shetty. I'm sure the chat window will burst with the number of compliments and comments now. So Jyotika was talking about children, and as I have observed, children are way smarter than their parents think about them. So just like the way Jyotika explained about hers, when she asked about her three mistakes in life, that answer is very smart. My question to the audience is, what kind of behavioral changes parents had to make towards their children during this pandemic? Please write your answers in the chat window. And I ask the same to Coach Jyotika, if you can share the changes you had to make.
Well, thank you, Arif. Well, this is a very, very important question, because the changes that I made to my parenting is more to do with, I think, the mental aspect of the children, the emotional aspect. I've always been a parent who talks a lot to my children, casually discuss all of this. But during the pandemic, I have made a conscious effort that I approach my children on a regular basis, sit with them and discuss various topics. Even if it meant that I had to just pop into their study room and check what they are doing. But I made a conscious effort that I spoke on various other aspects, and at the same time, keep this phone away. Because most of the time, we parents are talking to our children, but we are multitasking and we actually don't listen to them. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted my daughter to know that her mom is there with her, fully attentive, listening to her. That builds the confidence. And if you are, to answer your question, what I have done is purely observed and taken a lot of care on the emotional aspect of my parenting, more than even before.
That's wonderful, Jyotika. And I completely agree that giving attention to them and what they say is, even more important now. My question to Saeed, well, what changes, because your children are a little older, so what changes you had to make in your approach during these times?
Thank you, Arif, and good morning to all the ladies and gentlemen here. Arif, the thing is, when what I have observed about myself is, for everything that I want to do, I have to come back to this laptop. Everything. Okay, I want to talk to somebody, I want to do something, I want to pay a bill, I want to communicate, I want to see something. So it is sometimes very frustrating that you confine your life to this small thing. And the same thing is happening with children also. Okay, and now their Sundays, their Mondays, there is no difference. Their morning time, their evening time, there is no difference. So there is a bit of frustration in them, and that we have to recognize. And so what I personally have tried to do is, like, they have an official time like we have an official time. Like, for example, if I'm in the office, there is an official time, and during time I am not into the homely matters. All right. So when I'm at home, it's like I'm not in the office. So same like that, when they have a class, let's say from 10 to 5 or 10 to 4, whatever it is, allow them the time to be with that. Just because he's at home, don't start giving him errands and tell him, bring this, do this, do that. So it is school time, college time, all right. So give him that time. And at the same time, when he's not in that class period, try to behave like as if he's at home, and try to play with him, try to engage with him, try to talk to him, because here engaging is also very important. What's happening is, what could happen probably is that because you are a parent, 24/7, if you behave like a parent with him, also, now before they were going out, they were with friends, they were with some other activities for a major part of a day. That is missing now. And now just because he's at home 24/7, if I behave like a parent and if I am authoritative, I've been communicating from top down, I think it's going to burn them out. So that differentiation we have to maintain here. His time, give him his time. When he's not at work, then give him a different kind of feeling, different kind of time. That one thing I focus on, and it works. It works.
Yes, when you were saying about there is no difference between day and night, I realized that there were many days when I had not seen daylight myself, right? And I completely agree with you. Don't tell your children when they are attending their classes or which is their study time, कि बेटा जाओ दूध ले आओ, right? You can do that later maybe. So Coach Uzma, was there any behavioral change you had to make during these times towards your children?
Hi, everyone. I would say I have actually, in my experience, I have been doing the same things, but more thoughtfully and perhaps on a larger scale as and when required. Looking after the emotional, mental, and physical well being of children, playing with them, um, looking after their studies, because that is of paramount importance, isn't it? And keep an eye on the behavior of the child, because the behavior tells you a lot of things. It tells you what is troubling them, it tells you what you have been doing right or what you have been doing wrong. Like in my experience, like what actually happened with me, my son, for most part of the last 17 months, my son is 10 years old. I mixed that up. He's 10 years old, grade 5. And for the last 17 months, for the most part of that time, he's been pursuing his studies online. So schooling has been going on online. And I have to keep a very, very close eye on him, because the moment I turn my back, he will switch screens. So I can hear the teacher talk because the audio is on, but there's something else going on the screen. Okay, so what I have resorted to now is I play the cop. I ask him to raise his hands in the air. He's not allowed to touch the system when I walk into the room, because he will switch screens otherwise. And then I check what's going on the screen. So you see, now it has come down to this. I mean, I have to play the cop in the 70s, like हाथ ऊपर कर दो, आप घेर लिए गए हो चारों तरफ से types. So that has been my experience.
Yes, so that's one of the things that you do as a parent, right? To keep a check if they are not doing something else or they are not, going in some other direction. Hemant, my question to you is the same. Was there any approach that you had to make towards your children during this pandemic?
Before I go into that, I must say that my daughter was hearing to what Uzma said, and she has already told me, Dad, you're not going to try that on me, because she does exactly the same thing, switching windows. I still regret the day when I told her the shortcut to switch windows to make her job easier. Okay, so coming to my experience with my daughter is 7 years old, now in 2nd grade. Her entire 1st grade schooling was online. My younger child is just 4.5 now, so he's pretty much in preschool, and he hasn't seen the school in the last 1 year, but only in the last 2-3 months he has begun to go to school. So it's an interesting change for them. For my daughter, what I've seen is that she hates writing because most of her work is online. And so that's something which I'm worried about, that once she starts going to school, she will have written exams. I don't know what she's going to do in her written exams. The other thing is, initially we put restrictions on going out because of COVID. So after those 6-7 months, now she doesn't want to go out. She doesn't want to go out and play with other children. And that's where I am facing a challenge with her on trying to encourage her to go out and play with other children, make new friends, and so on and so forth. So that's where I am with my child.
Yeah, great, Hemant. We all learning how to cope up with these times, right? A new normal, as we say. Saeed, so before I go to Saeed, I would ask the audience to keep pouring their thoughts on the same thing in the chat window. What changes in approach you had to make towards your children when it comes to these times. So, Saeed, what challenges you had to face during this pandemic when it comes to parenting, and how, were you able to overcome, or if yes, then how?
Arif, one of the most critical thing that I personally felt is that, when we were away from home and they were also away from home for a while, that probably was giving everybody some kind of a different atmosphere in a day, and probably a breather, and so many other things it was giving. But all of it is missing now. Plus, what's happening is, like we discussed in our earlier episodes, because things are happening online and at home, there is a general perception that it can happen anytime. So it is happening at any time, sometime in the morning, sometime in the evening, sometime late in the evening, even in the night. This is classes happening, exams happening. So there is a pressure on them also. So first we need to acknowledge this, there is a pressure. I mean, the other day I was talking to somebody. He was joking with my son, saying that when he said that we have holidays now, he said, what holidays? Always you're on holidays. You people are at home anyway. So that is the general perception people have, which is wrong. That is not the case. They are at home, they have online classes, they have more pressure actually. So we need to acknowledge that. Then as a parent, if you, now that the situation is you all are together 24/7 in one place. Sometime in some situations, maybe they have a couple of rooms to share, all of them, right? So it is like you are one over the other all the time. So in this situation, if you are like a parent all the time, like a boss all the time, I think it's going to break. So you need to be a friend. You need to be a friend to your friend, especially if you have teens. You need to be a friend. You need to be friendly with them, do friendly things, play friendly activities, and increase your level of communication. You go down to his level of communication and communicate with him. He cannot obviously come to your level of wisdom thing and all these things. And don't always give him lecture saying that मैंने किया था, मैंने समंदर पार करके स्कूल गया था, मैंने वो उस लटक के पटक के बस पकड़ता था. Don't give him all these lectures, because they have their own challenges, you have your own challenges, all right? So their challenges for them, they feel it's big, like we felt our challenges were big. Every period has its own challenges. So acknowledge that they have challenges, acknowledge that there are problems, and be a friend to him. And when he comes with a problem, acknowledge that problem, agree with him that okay, this is tough, but let's see how to handle this. First agree with him, then go into a solution rather than giving him a lecture. So I would say be a friend more than a parent.
That's true, Saeed. And we can't talk enough or give the importance enough about communication in every relation, right? I come back to Uzma. Uzma, what challenges you want to share with the audience that you found were difficult to manage, but they are still the need of the hour?
I think stability is very important for children, especially young children. This is why you may have heard that psychologists always say that, even when, when babies are really young, to put them into a routine, you actually have daily rituals. Like if you want to put the child to bed, you give them a shower, brush their teeth, read a bedtime story to them, get them into their PJs, so they actually get into the mode and get prepared for going to bed. This is also why you hear experts saying that never argue or have a fight in front of children. Parents should not have a fight in front of kids. That's because these things create emotional instability. So you see, stability is very, very important. Add to that the fact that sometimes kids do things merely to get our attention. That's because they may at the face of it not like the rules, but rules and boundaries make them feel safe. And look at the environment that we live in today. You have new rules coming in from the government, from the schools, from the Ministry of Education. This actually affects children more than we think, because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So bring in as much stability into their daily routine as possible. Have a well-structured routine, but with fair amounts of flexibility thrown in. So they know what to expect and they feel secure. They know that, okay, this is how the day has been laid out and this is how I'm going to do it. So it's not completely shaky for them. So I think stability is something I would emphasize on.
Yeah, that's right, Uzma. And as these times are so unpredictable, a certain kind of predictability will help them and make them feel secure and safe. Right. Hemant, what challenges you had to face during these times, and how did you manage that?
I think we've all gone through evolution of challenges and trying to work with them. For example, in the beginning, when we all began to work from home and the kids were supposed to do school from home, she was on a different laptop in another room and I was trying to lock myself up in a room. I was having regular meetings with the CXO, the CIO, CEO sometimes, and the kids would walk in trying to get my attention, and I had to like make efforts to keep them out of the room so that they don't disturb those meetings with the top management. Very soon I realized that allowing them to just come in, like my child was like 3 years old, the younger one. He would come and want to sit in my lap. I just allowed him to sit on my lap, and he would become less resistive. After sitting 2 minutes, watching what is happening on the screen with a few people in suits talking, he would leave. Rather than me trying to resist, where he would make noise, try to bang the door, and actually end up disturbing. So overall increase in my own patience is something which I learned, and being patient with the kids, allowing them into the meetings. My kids over the last 1 year have joined practically every meeting I have attended. Even now they are in the background. You can't just see them only because of the virtual background, but they are hovering around, trying to see over the shoulder who is there in the meeting, recognizing a few faces and telling me in my ears who all are there in the meeting. The other thing, of course, is uh, this is another recent one which I saw. I saw my daughter was attending school, and then there was a break period. So she disconnected from her class, and she was just doing something at her desk. And I noticed the light next to the camera on the laptop on, which shows that the webcam is on. I asked her if the class was still going on, ensured that the class was not going on. I checked for any other Zoom meeting which was going on. I opened the camera to see if the camera app on the phone, on the laptop was on. None of it was on, but still the light was on, which meant the webcam was on. Somebody was watching my daughter while she was in the home. Now, this scared me a lot. I shut down the system and restarted it, and then the light went off. It could have been a malfunction, but very possible that there was somebody who had taken control over the laptop and had switched on the webcam and was watching the proceedings of my house from another part of the world. Now, that actually led me to start looking at online safety in a very different manner. I was always aware of it. We have our usual password protections and firewalls and things like that. But I actually began to have a conversation with my daughter on being conscious about the camera light being on, not clicking around links on the YouTube and different apps or the different games they play. So online safety, I think, is going to be a big thing for us to introduce to kids and make them aware. And of course, we will have to be alert pretty much always, because you can always put in restrictions, but children will find out a way of circumventing them. Like, I blocked YouTube on my laptop. Without a password, YouTube will not open. My daughter found a way of watching YouTube videos in spite of that. The kids are very smart these days. So that's for us. Another area, as I mentioned before, is my daughter doesn't want to go out and play and make new friends. And frankly, I have not found a solution to that yet. I keep encouraging her to go out. Like, we got books, she's reading books. We try to put her into hobbies or things like that. She's done all that. But going out and playing is something I have not been able to get her to do. She's not making new friends. Her only friends are her classmates who are all online. So something which I am struggling with even as a coach.
Okay. So I would actually ask if Jyotika can help you in that situation, right? And also, Jyotika, what do you have to share with the audience about parenting during these unprecedented times?
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot, Arif. Well, Hemant, to answer your question, I think parenting is not only about nurturing our children, but also becoming kids for some part of the day, which means to say that I think you have to become a child together with your kid. Now, if you want your daughter to go out, the best way to do it is go out with her. And keep your phone away, or even if you take your phone, ensure that you do not touch your phone at least for that half an hour or 45 minutes that you're there with her. Now, here, first of all, you will ensure that she's in a safe environment, seeing what is going around. Secondly, the trust factor also increases. Your bonding with your child will increase when you are there as a kid playing in that sand pit with her, or wherever you're, even below the building. Be there with her, play with her. You cannot even imagine how much of joy that brings to the child. To be honest, I have done that. And that's why I can say from my experience that do that and see, rather than just asking her to. See, your child is there, and I'm sure he will agree with me if he understands what I'm saying. So coming back to parenting, yes, I totally agree with what Hemant says as far as online safety is concerned. Now, this one is not only confined to the children who are young, even teenagers. I have two teenagers. My older one is grown up. He's a young adult, but my other two children are teenagers. I make it a point that I reiterate to them the safety, online safety. To be honest, they are much more tech savvy than me. But children, at the end of the day, even if they're teenagers, the mind is still young. Mistakes can happen, and they may hide mistakes which they may unknowingly have done. So I keep giving them the trust and tell them, look, anything happens, it's fine. You please let me know. So my daughter, in fact, has this habit of telling me everything. And yesterday, in fact, she was narrating one story, and she's saying, I'm so proud of myself, mom, that I tell you everything. I said, keep it up. Keep doing it, because that builds the bond, and also, it reiterates the safety that is required online. There are so many cases that we hear. Now, what I wouldn't say that mine, I don't say that mine is the best way that I have done, but it has worked for me. So this is what I would like to share, is that my two kids who are there are constantly like online school from morning till evening. They are in 11th and 12th. So there's a lot of load of studies as well. So giving them, understanding their frustration that they're not able to meet their friends, understand that they're not having a healthy break in between, understand their frustration. Yeah, don't give them a lot of logic saying that, oh, this is frustration. It's all those things, as Syed said, that we have crossed oceans to go to school. हमारे ज़माने में ऐसा होता था. So refrain from all those things. Now, my son takes healthy breaks in between. He sits in front of his Xbox, or he goes down for a walk. So these are the things that he does. Second thing is, now we're all disappointed, right? The situation is disappointing. So I am there with them in the disappointment, and I tell them, yes, it's a disappointing situation. And I tell them that, look, we are going to go through this together. I know you're disappointed, so am I. So they understand that my mom is there and she's not giving me the logic, and I'm not telling them that, like, you are different in thinking than me. So this is a time to make them feel that we're all feeling the same. Third thing is, I encourage healthy habits. Healthy habits in the sense, my son, for example, he likes to go to the gym below in the building. But now it's not the safe way to do it, because I don't know how many people come to the gym. So he takes a walk, he takes a break, he takes a walk. So that, and my daughter, she does exercises at home. So these are the healthy things which they can keep themselves fit, and I think their mind healthy more than anything. But like I said, there is no replacement to the healthy conversation that you can have with the child, because that's the most healthy thing that any parent can do with a child. Arif.
Jyotika?
Ma'am, Amit this side. Sorry, I interrupted Arif bhai.
Amit, I'm coming back to you. I've seen the raised hand. Just give us a few minutes, please. So, very well explained, Jyotika. So, any parting messages from all the panelists? So, Saeed, one one word or maybe one sentence, parting message from your side.
I would say your kid should be equally comfortable in sharing everything with you, like the way they share the success. They should be able to share if they had missed anything, if they had failed anywhere. They should be equally comfortable in sharing that. You should be able to. I mean, he should feel so close to you that they should not be hiding anything. So that's a paramount important.
True. Uzma?
I would say it's time to go back to the basics and in a big way. So stability is very important. Keep an eye on their behavior. And it is important to pay more attention to their physical, mental, and emotional well-being now.
Hemant?
For the audience, I would say start having those conversations about online safety, and even you yourself become more aware of them. And I take away with me that I need to become a kid and play with my kid.
True. Jyotika?
Well, I would like to say that, see, this is a situation where both parents and children are vulnerable. There's nothing in your control. All we can do is keep ourselves in control. So be patient, be kind to yourself, and everything will pass.
True. So thank you all the panelists for sharing your stories and simple parenting tips that have helped you. I hope this helps people in some way, or at least trigger their thoughts towards the importance of learning how to be a better parent. Now we are open for the discussion. Please shoot any question that you have in the chat window or raise hands if you want to ask any. Also, I'll post a feedback form. Please do share your thoughts in that feedback form. So it's open for discussion. Now, Amit, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, thank you for this insightful discussion. So the thing is that I have a very strange kind of query. It's not a query, it's a behavioral issue I've seen with my kid is that, when he was going to school in person, doing a study, and, he's like a very bright student. He keeps on interacting, keeps on, whenever teacher asks questions, so he's the first one who raise hand and try to give answer, right? But when it comes to online classes, initially he was very enthusiastic and doing the same thing. But practically, it is not possible to for the teacher to ask question to all the students, because it is a virtual way of teaching, and there are so many restrictions to that. I mean, sometimes teacher might not be knowing that which children has raised the hand, right? So then I see that he is now disengaged. He's like, he is not able, very much connected with the class. Though he's studying, he's doing everything, but gradually I'm seeing that now his interest level has gone down in his study, because the way he used to do it, he's not able to do it. So it is sometimes worrying me. And though I live with my child like a friend, I mean, absolutely we are like a buddies. But my son is 8-year-old, and but this is something disheartening, and no, I'm not happy. But how to, though I have discussed with him in the length that no, it's not possible for teacher to interact with all the kids, because the line is muted, because kids make so much of noise, and it's not possible that a teacher can see all the students in one window. But it is not something which is going in his mind, I don't know. But I don't feel that the way he's connected, he used to be connected earlier, he's now connected in the study.
Yeah, there are limitations from teachers side as well, right? So managing
Agree.
children in a class was difficult, and now on a window it's very way
Amit,
difficult.
Yeah.
So
can I answer that? I'll answer that question.
Yeah, please.
Well, question or his concern. Amit, if you heard my keynote this morning, I had covered this aspect where even I'm going through the same thing, where there is a kind of lowered confidence. And I spoke about my friend's daughter as well. She's disconnected from her day to day, and this is normal. And I think normal, when I say it's abnormal, but in the present circumstance, this is something that is happening. Now, one way to do it is speak to your teacher, speak to the kid's teacher, Because till the time you do not raise the concern, the teachers will let it go as well, let it pass as well, just telling them that, well, it's screen, we cannot see all the students. But yet time is flying, you know that things cannot be ignored as well. So speak to the teacher, all right? So at least she makes a conscious effort to pick the child, because emotional disconnection is primary reason for the child to, that interaction is not there, and that's the reason they're emotionally disconnected from the screen. Second thing is, like, I have been thinking for my daughter is that how can I engage? Now she's a very good artist. Now I was thinking that how can I get back to an activity where she will find herself, where she will feel. See, it's all about seeking validation and seeking that someone is recognizing. Now human nature is such where you want to feel recognized, you want to feel validated. And the growing up here is that's why school is very important, where you appreciate the child, you clap for the child. But where is all this happening? So find a way where the child can feel on the top of his game, where he can feel good. But talking to the teacher is very important, and especially he's 8 years old. So please speak to the teacher and raise your concern. And you as a parent also, I know you're friendly, you told us that, but find out ways in which he can feel fulfilled and validated as well. Right, Amit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Point well taken. I will certainly work on that.
Yeah.
So I have spoken to teacher once or twice, but they have raised the same concern that practically it is not possible for us to get connected with all the students. However, Darsh is the bright student, then we know that he knows the answer. But we try to also encourage the student who are below the average or not doing good in study. But how to teach this lesson to my son that no, you are good student. It's not important always that you would be the one whom a ma'am would pick up. But yeah, it is but it is very difficult to let him understand and sink in that this is not possible. So I feel that he is always he's doing everything, but he's not so enthusiastic the way he used to be earlier. And the kind of comment I used to get when he was going to school that he's a very naughty student. He listens everything and he keeps on disturbing other students and keeps on involving other students in all the notorious activities. But once I asked the question, he is the one who raised the hand and answered this. And the rest of the student, whosoever was involved with him, missed the chapter, missed the lesson. So that kind of naughtiness, enthusiasm, interest level he used to have. But now this is missing, absolutely missing. Yeah, but yes, totally. Point taken. I will certainly work on that.
Amit, just to add to what Jyotika said, you will have to probably work a little bit at home with your son as far as academics go if his performance is bothering you. A little bit will go a long way, because obviously, even the examinations and stuff are not taking place on a normal scale these days. It's online exams, and it's not even the way it was happening. Shorter exams probably in most cases. Also, see to it, why is your son not focusing? I mean, of course, talking to the teacher is a good option, but what is he doing when he is not paying attention to the teacher? Is he playing online with his friends? Because that will also have an impact. If he is in front of the screen, he has to be doing something, right? So if he's not listening to the teacher, what is he doing? If he's playing with his friends, you can probably get in touch with the parents of those children, and not to snitch or anything, but just tell them that, we all need to keep an eye on our kids. So at least during the school hours, they are paying attention to what is being taught, rather than just playing online amongst themselves.
Thank you, Jyotika and Uzma, for answering that. And thanks to you, Amit, for asking that pertinent questions, which all the parents have actually. Prashanti, what do you have to say?
Hey, Arif. Hello. Thank you, first of all, for bringing the most wanted session. And my concern is, I have a concern actually. Okay, let me not switch this on.
It's okay. It's okay.
So my concern is, we know that we are all in a technology age, or I don't know how do you call it, right? All of us are using technology, like we drink water, we drink food. It's like it has become a basic necessity of a person. And sometimes I think I want to keep my kid away from everything. But at the same time, I have one more thought comprehending it, saying that if I keep them out of technology, are they missing out a bigger picture? Or what is just happening? Because we know that everything is online. Everybody has to know what we should use, and at the same time there is coming a risk. I can't stop her doing that because that is where the world is. I can't keep her knife, nor I can let her in and dive into many things where I literally lose control on many aspects. As most of the parents have discussed, so many aspects where there is risk areas, and I really don't know how do we manage this. Should we keep them naive in most of the cases, or just let them allow explore and then they come back to us and we explain? How do we do it? I'm so sorry I'm late to the session. It might have been a discussed thing, but sorry.
Thank you for asking that question, Prashanti. And this was one of the aspects that were discussed during the conversation. But yes, we don't have any, one solution for all this situation. I think making children aware of the risk, which comes with all this technology and the usage of this technology. So that may help. But if any of the coaches wants to add something to it. Yeah, Uzma.
It is practically impossible to keep kids away simply because I'm sure you have devices at home. Like in my case, I wanted to keep my son away for as long as possible. You know what that meant? That meant for the first 3 years of his life, I did not have a smartphone. So I was actually the laughing stock amongst my friend group. My friends actually poked fun of me, but it helped. But after that, obviously, he was exposed to technology, and once that happens, it consumes them. So what you can do is probably maintain a healthy balance, have boundaries from day one. Okay, you can play only for an hour or maybe an hour and a half, and that's about it. And do not budge from that at any cost. Obviously, it depends from child to child. It could be 2 hours for some children. That's okay, but do not budge from that. They will try to negotiate. Don't give in. That's the only way you can handle it, where they are exposed to technology, so they know how to use it, but at the same time, they are not completely consumed by it. Hope that helps, Prashanti.
Yes,
No, Usma, just I wanted to add one thing, right? It is more than the time. I'm just worried about the content they consume. Even if it's 5 minutes that they're having a technology in their hand. Let's talk about any topic, right? Anything in the world, any a particular
I
area.
get your
The
point,
content,
Prashanti. So
yeah.
what you have to do is, as long as your child is very young, even when it comes to YouTube videos, you have to watch the video first before you introduce it to the child. Because this is a very common technique used by people who actually try to corrupt young children is a minute or so into the video, that is when they introduce the wrong things. Like whatever is inappropriate for the child will be featured 1 or 1.5 minutes into the video, because they know parents do not have the time. They will just check the first minute or so, and after that hand the device over to the child and walk away. So you have to check the whole video before you show it to your child. I know it's very time consuming, but that's the only way.
Saeed, you wanted to say something about this?
Yeah, actually, we need to go a little bit a step before, because from where this habit is coming, usually what happens, what I observe among parents, especially young parents, is that they have a small kid, and of course, kids are restless and they want attention. When they want attention, they take a easy way out. They said, okay, just put some game on the phone and give it to them. So they are busy with it. So the parents are busy with their own things, whatever it is. So this over a period of, this is happening at what age? At year and a half, year like this. So by the year, by second year, he's like a chronic. He's used to this now. He wants it. So you need to stop it there. It is same like, in olden times. You take a kid in your lap, go out and show some guy and tell him that he's a ghost or he's something, things like that, and then you feed him. He's coming, otherwise he will catch you, something like that. Okay. Now this is a modern way of doing it. Is now, okay, you want to give him food, put some cartoon, put something on that. Before we used to do it on TV, now we are doing with the mobile. Now mobile is such a small thing. Every house has 3-4 mobiles. So easily you spare one mobile and give it to the kid, and so he's busy with himself and you are busy with yourself. You think that way you are not disturbed. But in the long run, what distraction it is doing, it is not realized properly actually. So that kind of realization is.
I would
That's
just like to share a small personal experience, which is a sort of a joke also. Now, my son is 23 years old. He's going to complete 23 in October. All right. So when his time was there, the smartphones were not like predominantly used. Now, Prashanti, just hear this. All right. The reason why I'm telling you is the importance of rules. Now,
Yes.
I had made a rule that he will not have a Facebook account till he completes his 10th grade. And this was final. So all the children had Facebook, and those days only Facebook was used. Now, this child, when he was in 8th grade, opens a Facebook account, and he's so used to the rules that he first sends me a message saying, "Hi, mummy." And I'm wondering, who is this "Hi, mummy" sending me a message? And I suddenly realized that it's my son who's opened a Facebook account. I immediately asked him to close it, and I still have cherished that message that he has sent me when he was in 8th grade. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, this is where the importance of rules are ingrained at a very young age. So do not underestimate the value of rules. Like Uzma said, set them. Yes, you may not be able to do it 100%, but what you develop or cultivate, I mean, you inculcate in the child will stay with the child for a very long time. We often underestimate it, but believe me, rules go a long way.
That's true, Jyotika.
Got it.
Making rules and helping them to follow those with discipline. Any questions, or if somebody wants to share anything, any thought? So we have another 2 minutes to, close this show.
I'm sure as members out there, you have experiences, and your experience could actually be useful for other members out here. So while we still have a minute or two, we could at least have one experience sharing happening.
Yeah, Anupam, you are mute. Yeah. Okay, Hemant, can you? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So I thank you very much. It was very nice. Thank you, Arif, for asking me to join. Very nice session. I am not a parent. I am not even married, but then it was very, very nice. Very, putting things into perspective. So I think my mother should have come to this session, because she always keeps telling me कि वो बच्चे जो अंदर बंद है वो कैसे जी रहे हैं. तो ये सवाल उनको बहुत, being a mother, she is worried. I mean, अभी तो उनकी उम्र नाती पोतों को खिलाने की है, लेकिन मैं उतना इंटेलिजेंट नहीं हूँ शायद, तो वो सब नहीं हो पाया अभी तक. तो बहरहाल, thank you so much, and yeah, it was very nice, and yeah, we'll try to join sometime else also, and wish you people all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam, for joining in and sharing. Maybe next time your mother can share her experiences, right? Sucheta wants to share something.
Unmute.
Yeah, please go ahead, Sucheta.
Yeah, just now I heard Anupam saying, yeah, so parenting never stops. Yeah, it never stops. Even if the child is 28, 30, 40, 45, parents has to evolve. Okay, that's what I have observed. It is always learning process. And Anupam, I like to share that no doubt you are young and still you showed the being volunteer, but when you become a parent, the process starts before that. Why you are getting that child into this world. So according to me, whether you are responsible for it, whether you are totally in love with yourself. So it's a lengthy process. Many times parents have lots of psychological issues. They are totally distraught by so many psychological issues, and they get another child because it's just one of the item which they have to take. Get married, have child after 2 years, 1 year for enjoyment, second year for marriage. So it just ends. So there are many families or many parents who are self-love deficient, who have lot of psychological issues. They have been controlled by their parents, abused, so many things, ridiculed, and they come with all those psychological issues, and unknowingly they passed on that psychological issues to the next generation. So when Anupam said, I felt like, I have not I was having my lunch, and there are plumbing work and things are going on, so I was busy, I could not attend and I could not listen, but actually this subject is my niche. So it's, whenever we are looking at parenting, we cannot look it at only one generation part. It includes your parent, yourself, as well as your child. So, the process of parenting should go on all the three levels. You have to sort out your childhood issues, inner childhood, how you were brought up, how your parents were with you. There are many things which we are, yeah.
That's true, Sucheta. We understand people need
Yeah.
to carry the legacy, what they have got
Yeah,
received from their
yes, and
parents,
we have to
forward
unburden
that legacy.
ourselves of that legacy, and
Yeah.
then we have to move ahead. I'd like to share my experience in 1 minute. I'm a university topper in Mumbai University topper in education, masters in education. Yeah, and I have studied all the psychological theories and things. And but when it came to parenting, I forced my child that he has to be chartered accountant, he has to be lawyer. I disciplined him and all those things in order to keep him focused. Okay, and I pushed him. Now as I'm learning all these things and facing a problem, then I went into my childhood. I realized that my parents behaved in the same fashion. They forced me to achieve. They forced me to achieve. So, it's always that I have to achieve something. I have to be someone. You are always running. And unless you are running and unless you achieve, you find that you are not good, which is not a good feeling, and every child cannot be achiever. We
Yes.
are not allowing today children to be an average. It's absolutely fine to be average. If not in good in sports, it's all right. So, the parenting should be like, it should be like a caretaker. We should not make them a racing horse. Race
Much more than
horse से
that,
जैसे
Chitra.
दौड़ाना नहीं है हमें, and we have to focus on their well-being into being a healthy, psychologically sane adult. That's what I feel. Yeah, so Anupam, it's
True,
good.
Sucheta. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
have
thank
Puneet
you.
who wants to share something, and if there is not any other question, so this will be the last thing, right? Thank you. So, Puneet.
Thank you, Arif. Thank you so much. I joined in a little late, but I'll definitely see the recording because it's going to be valuable for me. So I have been like literally struggling as a parent. My son had ADHD. He's 20 now, and one sec. Can I avoid the video? I'm outside.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So basically, as far as the Jyotika was sharing about the video game rules and stuff. So my son, he did not have a phone till grade 12 and he did not even ask for one. And he had not opened a Facebook account till he joined college. And that also I opened and I'm still like, he's not even gone there. So, but the problem is that he's addicted to Fortnite and those video games, like the other ones. So that is really, it's a menace even now. It's really addictive. I am finding it tough to, get it out. So I could not enforce or inculcate the discipline. And as Sucheta is saying, it is so right that first we have to set ourselves right because, trying to enforce discipline when we ourselves are not, it doesn't work. but I know it's too late, but definitely I've started on this journey very late. But I would suggest to all parents who have little children that they should just work on themselves, because it's how we are, it really impacts our parenting and any relationship of ours. Like if I'm soft and I cannot be firm, so I will not be like that even with my child. So if you tend to get bullied, it'll happen everywhere. So things like that happen. So I think self transformation is most important. And also that healing the inner child and our things, because I just realized that as a child we don't realize, like as a child, my mother, like, there's this thin line between modesty, being humble, and putting yourself down, right? So I just realized that though I would not like that, and that I've suffered because of that, but I'm doing the same to my child. So conscious parenting, definitely, but it usually comes on hindsight. So I would just wish all the best to all the parents. And I, like, my child is now 20, so I don't know if there is any hope, but I'm going to try to change myself. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Puneet. And very well said that we can transfer things what we have. So whatever we have inside, we can only give that to the next generation. So we need to keep developing ourselves, keep learning, keep transforming if that's the need. Take help from somewhere, from somebody you can trust, and help your child to be better. Okay, with this, I close this session officially. Thank you so much for all the participants and all the panelists for having being here and making this a very active participating program. Thank you so much, and we can stop the recording now.
Can we have everybody on video for a moment? At least we'll take a picture. Supriya, Chandrajit, and Puneet, if you can come online on video for.
We would also want the second Jyotika to have a video on.
Okay, so at least without Supriya, Chandrajit, and Puneet, we have a picture. If they can come on video for a moment, I would be able to take it with them also. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Nice to have you all here.
Let me just share next week's flyer. This is what we're going to, is it visible to all?
It's coming. It's taking its time. Yeah, the topic as well as the flyer both take time to come in our lives. Yes.
Okay, great. So, Arif, please go ahead.
Yeah, so our next session is on much demand from you all, right? So let's talk about money next Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. the usual time we have. So be there. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you want to connect or discuss anything further, it's still open.
Vishek, good to see you there. And good to see Vishek in mustaches also.
Hemant, please stop the recording. Hemant.